Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Well, I am excited to get my guest on today. She says that her traumatic brain injury marked the beginning of a new life and personal journey of self rediscovery. She joined the Head Injury Survivors Club, as she described it, in 2015, the night another car pulled out in front of her. It wasn't until 3 months later that she realized something was seriously wrong. And so you guys are going to get to hear from her in a few minutes. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her. But before we do this, I do need to do a shout out to our sponsors. So today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photography. If you are a creator needing post-production, consultation, or promotion, Walt is your guy. Whether short films, YouTube films, photography work, or a new headshot, Walt can help you find a solution to match your needs. To learn more about him and his work, you want to go to photosbywalt.com. We also want to give a shout out to my friend Chris Clow of Upbeat Media Productions. If you are in need of turnkey special event production, Clow is your go-to. To learn more about him and his work, go to upbeatmediapro.com. All right, so here we are with another episode, another fabulous guest. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more about her, and then we are going to get her on here and get into this conversation. So Kelly Tuttle is a neurology nurse practitioner and a newly published author. Her book she wrote After the Crash provides hope for TBI survivors while encouraging them that they can live a normal life, again, without added stressors of emotional, physical, and cognitive challenges. Kelly says she has front row seats to observe patients struggling with many of the same things she experienced in her recovery. She strives to share her coping strategies and tools and help them continue to work and study while they heal. She also wants TBI patients to know there is hope. She got better and they can too. So welcome to the show, Kelly. So excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. I'm excited to be here today too. Thanks.
This is so awesome. And you have such a great smile on your face today. So I'm excited to chat with you. This is going to be fun. So let's talk about this new book. It just released this month. Am I correct? Brand new book. First time writer, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm very excited about it. I really like the way that it came out. It was real important for me for the book to be super easy to read, um, and to get to the point, basically. Get to the point of the tools and strategies people will need to get better.
Yeah. And didn't you tell me, I feel like I know we talked offline, but I feel like in our online conversation, you told me you wanted this to be more about the tools than just the inspiration. Am I correct?
Right. I didn't want to bore anybody with my story essentially. And I know when recovering from a traumatic brain injury, people suffer from neuro fatigue or cognitive fatigue, and reading and memorizing or learning takes a lot of that energy. So I really wanted my book to be straight to the point, very easy to read, easy to pick up, easy to put down.
Yeah, well, and that makes sense too because you're thinking from the perspective, you've walked the shoes. Hey, what are these people going to need? And I've always said that, like when you're trying to create whatever it is, a book or your whatever product you're trying to put out there for your people, you really have to take into consideration the people on the other side that are going to purchase it. Correct?
Correct, definitely.
And it's good because you're in that space, so that's what I think is so cool about, not that you have had to go through that particular incident, but because it leans into, now you can lend the things that worked for you, the tools and the techniques or whatever that was, for somebody going through that, how to heal. So congratulations, it's exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, it's when I had my head injury, the main thing I wanted to do was to get better and get back to work. That was really important to me. And when I went out into the world of Google and books and so forth, I found the information actually really difficult to ascertain, and it was really spread out. And so what the book is it's I feel like it's an accumulation of that information that I have found and put in one easy to find place for people that are also trying to recover from a concussion or a traumatic brain injury.
Interesting. Well, and this is kind of a, I guess maybe a fun question because I always think, in a sense, as a book writer, you're a creator, you're an entrepreneur now. You're technically kind of a business person. And I always like to ask these questions because I think we have these things that come in and make us accidental entrepreneurs, so to speak, right? But like when you were a child, did you ever think that you would be like a book writer or an entrepreneur?
No, I have always wanted to be a nurse since I had teddy bears and knew where the band-aids were in the house.
That's so
So
funny.
no, so no, I've never envisioned myself becoming an entrepreneur or opening a small business. My goal with writing the book was just getting the information out there so people could have it, know that there's hope in getting better. Um, but in the process, I learned a lot about content creation and marketing and writing and using tools such as shared documents and so forth. So it's been an amazing and an exciting journey getting to
Yeah.
where I am today.
Yeah, and I've written a book, so I can I don't ever like to say I
Hmm.
know how you feel, but I can resonate with that process that you had to go through to get it done. And like you, um, I wouldn't say that I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur because I grew up in an entrepreneur house, so I've been like immersed in it I think forever and a day, and so I just knew that I probably was going to be, but I never thought that I would write a book, and it wasn't until I had a major health issue that came up, and when I came out of that, I really needed a place to have a cathartic process. For me, it was really, I didn't even care if I sold the book. Honestly, the book has never been for me about that. It really was just a way for me to release everything that I had gone through and put it in a place that maybe somebody could take value in it. You know what I mean? Like maybe it would
Hmm.
be helpful for somebody. So I commend you on that because I know it's no easy feat to do that.
No, it wasn't. It was about a 2-year process. And in doing so, I started in 2020. The world shut down. There was that big pause. And I thought, this is it. This is the time to get this book written. I was fortunate. I was able to work from home um, part of the time, and so I took advantage of losing my, usual up to 2-hour commute every day, and put that towards writing the book. The energy that instead of commuting to writing the book, learning how to write, and all the other things that I had mentioned before. And I wrote every weekend, every day off I had, in the evening, anytime I could, I was working on that book.
You're working on. What was? I think this is a fun question. I want to ask you about the book because I know we're talking about your book, and I'm like really wanting to know this from you because the hardest thing for me to do was to come up with the outline. It was like once I could write, and then I could put it, make it out, but the doing the outline to the book, like I just what was it for you? What was the hardest part of this for you?
Um, uh, you know, Writing the beginning, the start of the book was the
Mm,
hardest part. So I actually started writing the middle part, the tools and strategies first, and then I finished the book. I wrote the six steps to beginning to live your life again, and that was easy. But picking the title and writing that first paragraph was the hardest. So if there's anybody out there that wants to write a book, I recommend there's no reason not to start in the middle or the end. You can
yeah,
always get to that one part that's difficult later when you're ready. And it's really funny, as you would know, Jennifer, is when you start off with a project, you kind of have a thought in your mind, and then as you start working on it, it really morphs into something different and even
oh yeah,
better than you thought of. So that was really the experience I had. And then I also had writing coaches, and I definitely would recommend a writing coach when trying to write, especially if you don't have a background in writing. My background, I have a degree in nursing. It's not in English literature. It's not in writing or journalism. So my learning curve was quite steep, but there are people who love coaching other writers, and they can assist you in your endeavors for sure.
Yeah, that's good advice. Well, and to your point on the starting, yeah, I think sometimes you do have to start where you're feeling the most comfortable and come back. And it's funny that you say that because I've mentioned this on several different episodes that I'm building on a program right now. And there are parts of it that have been very easy for me to write, and other parts that they require more articulation and more research. And it's funny, I'm in the psychology part of my program, which is hard to articulate, right? And so funny enough, it's like three phases. I had to start like in different places where I felt like, okay, this is an area that I can talk about easily,
Hmm.
and then I can kind of come back and navigate, and even like when I'm thinking about making like the slide, I'm putting a keynote together right now that I'm going to upload, but just sometimes it's the slides. I don't have a visual yet, or the video that I want to use, or whatever I'm trying to put in there. And so I'll have to put a slide there and just leave it there and come back to it, work in a different area so that I can come back to it when my mind is clear and I have the idea. Because sometimes the ideas aren't in the moment that you're actually sitting down to do the work. They come, weird places like when you're walking your dogs or taking a shower, somewhere where
Yes.
you don't have a pen and paper, right?
Right, right. Mine would always, like, I get stuck, I'd go on a walk. Walking is an excellent way to stimulate creativity in your brain. And so what I would do is I would take my iPhone and I would do voice recordings while I was walking when I had ideas. And then as soon as I got back, I wrote them down in my notebook to either
Yeah.
reference later or work on later.
Yeah. This is great. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about what you went through. Not that we need to get into all the details of that because I know that that was a lot, and I know how it is when you get into those conversations. But you came through that, and that's what I think it is a remarkable thing that you took a traumatic injury, right? You took a condition, and then you healed yourself, and then you're able to talk about it, which is what we love. Because a lot of times people they get things happen to them or conditions, they really just get boggled down and they don't come out of it. Like they stay stuck in that forever. And so
Right.
it's not just that you had this, but now you wrote a book talking about this and how to help other people with this. So I want to ask you, first of all, what have you learned about yourself in this journey? Like, what do you feel like has been the big takeaway from you in this?
Well, wow, there was a lot of takeaways. One of them, just like what you just alluded to, that some people kind of stay stuck in the past, but learning to let go and being okay with my cognitive limitations, my energy limitation, and learning to work around that, like still persevere, but not give up. You still keep your toe in the water, but not leave the pool. That kind of thing. I learned
Yeah.
a lot about that. And if what I've seen with some of my patients, and I've been to support groups for brain injury survivors, if you don't let go of the past, your past self, and learn to embrace and love your new self, your new brain, you're not gonna excel in your life. You're not gonna live your life to the fullest potential. You're just gonna be stuck in that one moment in the past, and that's just no way to live. And if people are struggling getting out of that situation and getting out of the past, ruminating over lost abilities, then you really should be looking to supportive friends and family, counselors, psychologists, mental health specialists to help you move forward because when you have a traumatic accident, or if you're given a devastating diagnosis, there's a grieving process
Hmm.
that you go through. And if you're not able to manage the grieving process on your own, you really should seek support for that to help you get through it so you can move forward and begin to heal and grow stronger.
That's so important what you just said. I think that's so valuable and it's so true. So it's so true even when we're not even talking about something like that being a physical limitation, right? It's like just accepting that you have different limitations, period. We have them in a lot, as we grow, we have at age, we have limitations. But I think that is so valuable because I do think people get hung up on, it's I know for me personally, because I've had two different instances where I've had like just really odd, rare things that have come up. And in both scenarios, there's that moment where you go, is this going to be the rest of my life? Is this what
Hmm.
I'm looking at? Even right now, I'm in the middle of something and I'm thinking, is this what's going to be that I have to take this? I don't like, I'm going to be honest, I don't like pharmaceuticals. I don't like medicine, and so in my mind, I'm wrestling with this whole idea of, am I going to be stuck doing this, taking this? Confined that I have to do this in order to feel okay, right? Like, so there is that. And you do have to get to a place, I think, where you recognize that there may be limitations and embrace the new, right? It's really about kind of having gratitude and being grateful for what you can do and how you can thrive, right?
Right. And um, to go back to what you're saying is when you're in the moment, like say if I have a bad brain day, like something happened, I got really emotionally stressed and then had a bad night of sleep, I'll have a bad brain day. The next day, I'll just feel out of it and I feel like I've regressed in my progress, right? And you just get frustrated. You're just like back in the penalty box of recovery, and you're sitting on the couch. You're scrolling through social media, seeing your friends move on and live life while you're, stuck or couched until you recover, and that could be a serious bummer. The other issue too is the uncertainty with chronic illnesses or traumatic brain injury. Just what you said, is it always going to be like this? Is it ever going to be better? Am I ever going to be okay again? And that uncertainty is so hard to live with and to cope with. And then that's just, you just have to tell yourself you're going to do the best you can and live each day to the best of your ability. And if you're having a bad brain day, it's a day that you instead of being bummed and sit on the couch, think, hey, this is a great excuse to pamper myself and do things that I want to do, be a little selfish. Um, so yeah, it is not easy, and anybody who moves beyond, above and beyond an illness or a traumatic event, I mean, kudos to you, and big pats on the back every day that you get up, get dressed, and go out the door.
Yeah, that's so good, Kelly. So good. And I think that, yeah, I think, one of the things, and I'm sure you're like this too, but I think for me, one of the best ways to get through things like that is to stay committed to things. Stay doing things that you enjoy doing. Find ways that you can help other people, and because it really, when talking about helping other people, when you're helping other people, it's almost like it removes you now. You have another focus. You have something else to work on, and it takes you away from. It's not that you're in denial, but it makes the process for you a little easier too, because you know that you're doing something to better not yourself, just not yourself, but other people in the process. And so I think what you're doing is great too, in that you get to, like work with these people that are going through these recovery and trying to get their lives back, and take your knowledge and what you've gone through and say, hey, I can use that now to help these people, right? And I
Hmm.
love how you said that, when you have a bad brain day and just embracing that, because I haven't even had a traumatic injury, and sometimes I say I'm having a bad brain day. It's like bad brain thinking is what I call it. When I'm having bad brain thinking, I'm like, you just need to like refocus, get out of the room and go find something positive to focus on. But
Exactly.
I'm with you. I think you just have to stay one day at a time, embrace it. But I think, like I said, staying connected to people, doing things that can add value to yourself, and really just, yeah, focusing on others.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things I do talk about in my book is journaling, and I'm sure you've heard that too, Jennifer, and your
Mhm.
listeners. But especially with a traumatic brain injury, it's usually you'll see a lot people. Most people recover from a concussion, a traumatic brain
Right.
injury. It's a small percentage that don't, and when you're in that bucket, it sucks. Because I'm in
Yeah.
that bucket with you. If you're out there listening to this, but when it comes to living with that recovery, it's really important not to worry about the things that you can't do. We already talked about that, but also not worry about the future. like what we were talking about, like, is this going to always be like this? And what am I going to do about it? And will I ever be able to get back to work full time, or whatever that you've had to back off since your injury. But with recovering from a traumatic brain injury, it's best to always look back. And your journal will give you that ability to look back and see just at how far you have come. Like for me, when I look back at my journal, I remember the days after my head injury, after the car accident, I couldn't make toast and coffee at the same time because I would forget that I made the coffee or the toast, or that I make the coffee, put it somewhere in the house, lose it. Then I sit down, wonder why I'm hungry, and realize I forgot to get the toast out of the toaster oven. That was in the beginning, and I can look back on that and laugh now. And now I'm back at work and I wrote a book. So the journal will allow you to look back and not forget how much you have done to come as far as you have come.
I think that's so good, Kelly. And I think what's even better is that you can laugh about it. You're not bitter. You know what I mean? Like you can, and I say this to you because it's so funny. Right before I jumped on here with you, I was working with a client and we were talking about gratitude journals because that's what it's like journaling. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It's
Yes.
one of the things I talk about in my book. It's one of the things when I'm working with people, people don't want to do it, but I'm like, you have to do it because you have to put this into practice until you have your brain trained enough that you can do this on your own. I can do it on my own now because I trained myself for a long time. But it's so funny because I was telling her, I said, when I first started doing my gratitude journal, and this wasn't because I had a mental capacity, problem or anything going on. I couldn't really be grateful. Like I really was in a bad place emotionally. I could not be grateful. So it was so funny. I would write things like, I'm grateful for my spoons. I'm grateful for forks. I'm grateful for toilet paper. I'm grateful for windows. I'm
I
grateful
think
for the
those are
tire.
all really good things.
Aren't they? But it's so funny. It's so funny because at that time, that was all that I could think of, right? And now I can
Mhm.
laugh about it because I'm like on any given day, like I have plenty of things I'm grateful for every single day, and I don't really have to think that hard to think about it because there's so many great things. I feel like like I'm having this interview with you right now. Like I can say today, well, I met one really neat, amazing person today, or I had a great call with my client or whatever, but I couldn't do that at that time. And so
Right.
I think the lesson in this is that it shows you your progress, where you've come from, right? But I think the other beauty is that you can laugh about it. You can now go, what was I thinking at that time? Like that was all that I could come up with to be grateful in that moment. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I feel like there's just so much power in that. And from a medical perspective, like you're talking about, but also just from a, you know, in filling our cup and our awareness and how we grow as individuals, right? On a mind space time and personal development, not just in the physical sense. So I think it's so good on both. Totally different stories, but same kind of concept.
Right. And you talk about you really do have to practice at journaling, to be so it becomes a habit, a lifestyle habit, because that's what
Yeah.
journaling is. It's a lifestyle habit that boosts creativity and mental health. And it doesn't need to be complicated. It can be simply in a notebook with your favorite pen. And I usually tell patients just write the date, write down the date and one or two sentences. Or, one, I could tell you, I have a page in my journal in the very beginning. I drew sad faces from the top to the bottom on every line, and that was my journal that day. There's another page where I drew an image of something I saw in a dream. So it doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be a 5 paragraph essay either,
Right.
but just something that you just jot out or draw. For you really should do it in the morning and then at night. And the reason why I recommend in the morning, because what I found is that writing, that act of writing onto paper, really helped my brain and my body reconnect. And that, because I would feel kind of you wake up in the morning after traumatic brain injury. Usually, you're dealing with neuro fatigue, cognitive fatigue, and it's difficult to kind of get things running, the brain running. And I found that when I wrote in my journal, that my handwriting and my spelling and word finding got better and better as I went down the page. And then that seemed to kind of wake things up and set me up for a really great day.
Yeah. That's good, Kelly. That's good. Well, one more question I want to ask you, because I know you have these, you talk about these 6 steps to coming back after an injury. And I'm assuming the journal is one of those steps that you have listed in there. Is You can correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe you have a few of those you want to share with us for somebody? Because I have a feeling that some of these are going to apply for really any type of, condition that somebody's trying to come back for and get back into having their normal life.
Well, the journaling's actually in the tools and strategies
Okay.
section, the middle of the book.
Okay.
The 6 steps to getting back to life is one of them we already talked about. First, letting go,
Love it.
and then getting in touch with your core values and passions, just what you were speaking about before, also.
Hmm.
And then I talk about managing your finances, because that's not if you're having issues paying your mortgage and your bills and so forth, you're not going to feel healthy or want to do the right things to help heal your brain. And then I talk about job protections a little bit, Family Medical Leave Act, disability accommodations, student disability accommodations. Should you get a lawyer? Sometimes after a head injury, it's related to a third party insurance. Yeah, those are some of the things
Yeah.
I have. And then, of course, the last thing I leave with my readers is hope. Have hope. There is hope. You will get better. I'm not saying you're going to be cured to 100%,
Right.
but there is hope you will get better. Recovery normally from a head injury, like what I was saying before, is it can be after you can recover from concussion a couple weeks, 3 months, 6 months. We usually see the most improvement in your recovery within 2 years of the head injury. But that doesn't mean it ends there. It just
Right.
means that the progression is slower and incremental and subtle. But the continuing to grow um, uh, is does occur. It doesn't end at that 2 year period.
Yeah. So I think the big takeaway here is to be patient with the process.
Yes, yes. I often tell my patients, I'm like, you can do everything you can to support your brain's health, and that would be good sleep, nutrition, exercise, and mindful thinking. Um, but you can't make your brain heal any faster than it's ready to heal. Your brain really, in this situation, is the boss of you.
Yeah.
And some people, the recovery is fast, and some people, it's super, super slow. But all you could do is just be patient. Be patient and know that time is your friend.
Yeah, that's good, Kelly. Well, and I love that you, in your talk about your book, just, really talking about the core values and the mindfulness and all of those things, because I think so many of those things are really important to your health. Because, in my book, I talked about that because when I was going through my stuff, yeah, I went on a low carb diet and that helped because I reduced inflammation in the body, got that in place. But it's hard to get healthy just on that alone, just on changing a few things within your diet or whatever. I mean, this is really, I think these same things apply just to be healthy in life, right? It becomes more important when you're going through something like this, a traumatic brain injury, something that your body is being taxed and stressed, right? But I think what you're saying even is also really important just in life in general, right? Like taking care of our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, being mindful, being in alignment with your core values, journaling, all these things that we do. And that's why I talk about it so much, because I think you shouldn't wait until something happens for these things. That's when, like, I don't know if that was for you, but for me, that's when it did happen, when I became aware and then I put it into place. So I talk about it more from a proactive standpoint of you really should be doing all these things now in your life, like thinking about your finances, thinking about being mindful, thinking about, are you doing things in alignment with your core values? Because this sets you up for, if something does happen, you're coming in from a better place. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it
Yeah,
fix it, but you're just in a better place.
you come into it like a pro instead of a beginner. The learning curve is a lot less. And that's how
Yeah.
I am really thankful for, I, sh- this sounds weird, but the timing of my accident.
I
Um,
get it. Yeah. I
so,
get
so I was like, and I think that I, I was in a excellent shape. I was actually in my fighter shape. I was studying martial arts. I was going up for my third degree black belt test, my purple belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I was in excellent shape. I had already had the nutrition down. We talked about mindful thinking. So, my mindful thinking was when you do your karate katas, these sequence
Hmm.
of movements that really bring your mind to the present moment. So, I had my mindfulness. I had really good sleep. I had my exercise, my social life intact, and my learning. Learning is really important for the brain too. So then I hit that car accident, and I feel like I I did better than I would have if I had not been in good physical shape, did not have the
Yeah,
nutritional discipline and knowledge that I had prior to that. I think things would have been a lot worse. I knew I needed to exercise. I knew how important it was to sleep. The mindfulness, though, I learned from a family. Oh shoot, I'm going to say this wrong. Sorry, counselor, family marriage counselor. And after my head injury, because my primary thought I had anxiety, and no, it was a concussion. And, but it was nice to
wow,
meet.
yeah,
It was nice to meet with her because she pointed out, you have all these things, you're doing all these things. This is really great, but you don't have mindful thinking. You lost it because I couldn't do karate
sure.
for a long time. And she goes, let's try adult coloring.
I
And
like it.
this is going to be your mindful thinking. So she helped me come up with other ways to do mindful thinking to help replace that
That's
mindful
awesome.
thinking technique I lost from the car accident.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's if you, like I said, if you have these healthy lifestyle uh, 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 routines in your life, and then something bad happens, you're going to come out swinging a lot quicker than someone else that doesn't have these skills and mindsets.
yeah. This is so good, Kelly. Well, you are amazing. I'm so happy that you're on, on the other side somewhat and able to do and share and help these people get through this. And I think you're the best testimony for that. I always feel like we can speak to something when we've walked in the shoes. It gives us the
Mm-hmm.
ability to empathize and say, hey, but I think also to show people that it you can come out on the other side. You can make it and survive and live, a life that you're okay with. So you're remarkable, and
Thank you.
congratulations on your book that just came out. And I hope it does well for you and all that good stuff. So, if our audience wants to pick up a copy or they want to learn a little bit more about you, where do we want to send them?
So the book is available on Amazon, and it's also available on Audible. I'm very excited that's available on Audible. So if you're having a hard time reading and memorizing, this is perfect for you to listen to. If you're not an Audible subscriber, it's also available on iTunes, which is nice too.
Yeah, very cool.
And you can find me at kellytuttle.org, and that Tuttle is Tuttle. And if you sign up onto my website, you can download a patient cheat sheet I have created for my patients that you fill out the questions. The questions on that cheat sheet are the questions your provider, your doctor, your specialist, your therapist are going to want to know. And I put it in this really easy one sheet form. You can fill it out, put your questions on it, new symptoms, old symptoms, and then whatever your provider recommends at the bottom, and slip that right into your recovery journal. I'm really excited about that tool. I think it will help um, increase quality communication between the people who need that cheat sheet and their providers so they get
Yeah,
great care.
definitely. I agree with you on that. So, very cool. Well, Kelly, thank you so much. You're awesome, like I said, and
Oh, thank you.
congratulations on
You're
your
going to make
book.
me blush.
All good. We do want to say to our audience, of course, if you enjoy our show, please be sure you give us a rating, both on iTunes, check us out on Facebook, and hit that subscribe button on the YouTube so we can keep sharing all these great stories. And then we're going to leave you guys with my final parting thought for the day. In order to live the extraordinary, you must start and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another. We will see you next time.